All right, guys, we're going to get you fully prepared for NFL Week 12 waiver wire, believe it or not, helping you get to the fantasy football playoffs. If there's anybody left to add off waiver wire, we're going to make sure you get them. And also recap the studs and sucks of the past week. We're going to talk to every position, go over the guys that crapped the bed and the guys that did really well and how they're going to do potentially for the rest of the season. Open discussion. We're talking fantasy football and NFL football. And look who's back. Jimmy's back again. What's happening, Jim?
Guess who's back again?
Jimmy's back. Tell a friend. We're not good.
Hey, man, I gotta say, I've been going to a lot of football games. Last week, I was in Lubbock, Texas, for the Colorado Buffalo Texas Tech football game. Buffs won. Go Buffs! It's my team. Go Buffs! And I mean, we got here's two names you need to know about for next year, everybody. Travis Hunter, who is an elite wide receiver, but also plays cornerback. And then Shader Sanders, who's probably going to be the first or second quarterback off the board in next year's draft. Both these guys you got to know about. They're really good. Buffs are hot. They're 8-2 right now. I'm very happy with that. So
I will tell you, I will be drafting Ashton Genty, running back. This kid,
the Boise State guy. Yeah, definitely.
Oh boy, you know me, and I like my young rookie running backs. This guy looks like a future Hall of Famer. So, dude, we're got so much to talk about here in football. I can't wait to get to next year. We're not even there yet, but let's talk about NFL Week 12. We're going to go through all of the positions, talk about the studs and sucks. If you're new to the channel, smash it, tap it, slap it, hit the thumbs up. We're going to keep you guys covered and get you guys fully prepared for the fantasy football playoffs. And we go year round, so make sure you guys hit the thumbs up, subscribe, smash the thumbs up. I want to talk a little bit about the latest news and notes here. There isn't much going on. A couple injuries. Jim, do you want to talk about the injuries here?
Yeah, just a few. Actually, it was very light this week, which is always a relief, right? Darnell Mooney suffered a hamstring injury, so that could be problematic. We'll see how long he's out for that. Yeah. Alexander Madison and Zamir White are both out with injuries right now. Alexander Madison had an ankle injury. Zamir White had a quad injury. And then Tyjae Spears suffered a concussion, so he's probably going to miss at least next week. So there you go.
Nobody cares about those guys. Now, if you saw my Insta, Puka Nacua caught that beautiful pass. He leaped up, caught it, came down on his ribs. I think he just knocked the wind out of him. But he was out. He was on the ground, on his knees in pain. I like Puka. I think he's great talent, but I just think he's susceptible to injuries. Now, he came back on the field, which is good news. But for some reason, I'm just not feeling him. I don't know what it is for next year. He's a great player. Now, unless Cooper Kupp completely gets off the team or something like that, I don't know. Did you see how Puka got winded? Did you see that play? I don't know if you saw it.
Well, I did see that he left for a little bit, but then came back, which is just fine. That's not anything that I'm concerned about. But I think he's a fantastic talent. I watch him make those catches. He is a very impressive receiver. And next year Cooper Kupp's going to be 31, 32, something like that. I mean, dude, I'm all up on the upside for Puka, and plus, I love the Rams offense. I love the offensive scheme. I love the coach. It's a great team for fantasy. So yeah, I got no problems with Puka for next year.
All right. We are a sports channel. I do want to talk about something we don't regularly cover, but did you, and again, this is a talk show. We do like to do the talk shows on Mondays and Thursdays. Did you end up watching Tyson fight? Because I'm a huge Tyson fan growing up, very nostalgic. Did you end up watching the fight, and what are your thoughts?
You know what? I didn't watch the fight. I heard about the problems with the stream, though, that it was out for a lot of people, which is very disappointing. And while I love Mike Tyson, the dude is older than me. He's 58. And he's fighting a 29-year-old kid. 27. Yeah. I mean, it's like I would have loved to see him go out there and win that fight. But let's be real. I mean, there was never really a doubt here. I mean, we know how great Mike Tyson was back in the day, but the dude is 58 now. So, I'm not surprised that he lost. Mike Tyson is still great. This doesn't tarnish him at all. Good for him for actually going up and doing that. I mean, geez. Well, I don't want to get punched in the head by a 29-year-old. I'll tell you that right now, a 27-year-old.
Well, definitely credit for him for getting in the ring, looking phenomenal. I did do a video, go back and check it out a video or two ago, talking about how this match was definitely fixed, because had Paul actually knocked out Tyson, it really would have tarnished his legacy, knowing that he ended his career getting knocked out by a YouTuber. I mean, that would have looked bad. So I guess there was something, I would think, in the writing saying we can't knock each other out. We got to go the distance because we can't just finish this in 2 rounds. It's got to go the 8 rounds, and we just can't finish each other because Jake Paul's trying to build kind of like a boxing legacy, essentially. And it would look bad to get knocked out by a 58-year-old, even though it's Mike Tyson. And it would look bad if Mike Tyson got knocked out by a YouTuber. So I think it was all fixed. It was a money grab. Good on them. They made a lot of money. Unfortunately, like I said, the stream sucked, which was very disappointing. So it was kind of in and out. My concern now is I think they're going to do the Christmas game for the NFL. I heard Beyonce is going to be the halftime show. Who is it? The Texans, I think they're playing. I don't know who they're playing here. Have you looked at the Christmas game yet? But anyway.
I haven't looked that far out yet, so I don't know.
I think Beyonce is going to be, it's going to be Baltimore, Houston, 4:30 Christmas. They also have a Chiefs versus Pittsburgh game on the 25th as well. 1 o'clock and 4:30 Eastern are the games. I think one of them is going to be on Netflix. Correct me if I'm wrong. But I hope they get their streams right. I think this was kind of like a test to see how well they could do as Netflix is getting more into streaming sports, which is interesting. So I wanted to cover that. Tyson, Paul, very interesting fight. And the UFC was great too, if you guys watched that as well. I'm going to be covering more news here on some things that are trending in the sports news. So make sure you guys are turning on the bell. Not only fantasy, I'm getting into some sports as well. And that's that. All right, so Jim, let's talk about the studs and sucks at each position. I'm going to pull up here. Let's start off with the quarterback position. Then Jim's got some recommendations at each position here. So what you guys are going to see here on the screen, if you're in the car, I'm just pulling up the rankings here. Again, this is excluding the Monday night game. So what you're going to see here is the top quarterbacks from this week. 41 points for Taysom Hill, Jared Goff, Joe Burrow, Bo Nix, Anthony Richardson only having 2 good games the entire season. I was knocking on him. Finally having a good game. I guess the benching has helped them. Stafford, Winston, Herbert, and Josh Allen and Sam Darnold to round out the top 10. Jim, Taysom Hill is a running back. What? Can they just use him near the goal line? I would be really...
He's a tight end, actually. But Taysom Hill, for me, is the perfect player to describe a best ball player. This is a guy you want in all your best ball leagues because he can do stuff like this. But, if you look at how he's done this season, he's been mostly invisible. He has not been a startable asset. And this is not a guy you want to acquire in a managed league. Again, he blew up, had a huge game. Absolutely impressive, man. He had 10 targets. He had 7 rushing attempts, and then he also threw the ball. He was just doing everything yesterday. Good for him. It's impressive. If you happen to have started Taysom Hill, which I can't imagine anybody actually started him in a managed league, good on you. But Taysom Hill's the kind of guy, he's a best ball guy. Don't even consider him for managed leagues. So.
I don't, the hate's a hard word. It really is, but I really dislike the States because they almost seem like innovators in regards to ruining fantasy football. What I mean by that is they're the ones that started. Jim, no, seriously, this is a good point. This is a valid point, and I want to be the one that documented to talk about this first. It all started with the Ingram Kamara BS, with the running back by committee. Prior to those guys, it wasn't really a running back by committee approach, and then they kind of innovated that. Now they're doing this quarterback by committee. Not only is Taysom Hill ruining the value of the quarterback that could be rushing in these touchdowns, but he's also ruining the value of the running back. These guys are catastrophic. This organization is catastrophic to the fantasy football community, Jim. And I want to go on by record by saying that I hate the Saints. That's it.
Well, I don't hate them. First of all, they're dealing with tons of injuries, right? They've got their 2 top receivers are out with injuries right now. So they're just trying to make do with whatever they can get. And right now, Taysom Hill is one of the best players on that team. So they're going to utilize him, right? I don't have a problem with that. And it's not like he really hurt Derek Carr's value. Derek Carr was still a high-end QB2. He ended up with 18.7 fantasy points. So it's not like Taysom Hill ruined his value. Like I said, it was a blow-up game for Taysom Hill. It's not anything really to worry about or be concerned with.
Okay, let's talk about the sucks of the week, Jim, at this position. I'm just going to scroll down here and see, Pat Mahomes, a 15.8 points. You guys can't see the points on the screen here, but 15.8 points. I'll rhyme it off here. Just not the same Pat Mahomes that we saw. Russell Wilson, also a mediocre game here, 6.3 fantasy points. And Aaron Rodgers, the Jets are cursed. Like you said it the best. The Jets are
They
absolutely
are cursed.
they are terrible and so much talent, Jim. That's why I don't get so much talent on this roster from Devontae Adams, who I think is on the downhill of his career, but still, I think he's still got some juice in the tank. And you got Garrett Wilson, young dynamic. You got this amazing running back committee, two absolute beasts, workhorse running backs, Breece Hall and Breon Allen. You got Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, I don't know, man. Like they suck. They suck.
Yeah, I mean it's just the Jets, baby. It's the Jets. One I'm really disappointed with is Jaden Daniels. He was so hot to start out the year, and he's really cooled off considerably, which is disappointing. But I'm really not concerned. Jaden Daniels is absolutely on my list for next year. He's a fantastic talent. If they could get him an elite wide receiver one during the offseason, that's what they really need to get this guy. He could really take his play to the next level, and I'm really excited to see how he develops in year two, because I think he's had a very, very good rookie season. So
no, I'm glad you made that point about Jaden Daniels, because ultra elite talent. And again, I don't believe that McLaurin is a true wide receiver one. He's a good 2A, I think. I don't even consider him a 1. He's not that good. Here's to why we're not wowed. He's just not that great of a receiver. People need to realize he's not a true 1. He's a faker. He's a pretender, similar to these running backs we're going to get to in a second, where they came into the season, Zach Moss is an RB1. No, he's not. He's not an RB1. He's not. He's just not. So I think McLaurin is kind of that guy who's kind of got a secret idea. He's trying to fool us. He's like fool's gold at wide receiver. All right, quarterback. Let's wrap this up here. Who are we drafting off? Picking up drafting. So I'm still in draft mode. Oh my God. No, who are we picking up off waiver, if anybody at all, for this week? Because there's going to be a lot of people on bye week, Jim. There's a lot of people on bye week.
There's a huge bye week, man. We got 6 major teams on bye week, man. Atlanta, Buffalo, Cincinnati, Jacksonville, New Orleans, and the Jets are all on bye this week. So that's a lot of fantasy talent, which is going to be missing next week. That's going to make it a hard week for everybody. So you're going to have to check your waiver wire to see who's available. But the guys I would be most interested in are a couple of rookies, Bo Nix and Drake May. Both those guys also looking great. I mean, I am just really impressed with both these guys play. Just absolutely outstanding. Matt Stafford, Justin Herbert, who's really he's really coming along, and he's really getting better as the season goes on with his offensive talent and making plays and stuff. Yesterday, 297 passing yards with 2 touchdowns and 5 rushes for 65 rushing yards. That's pretty darn good. And then Gardner Minshew, Las Vegas, who got 282 passing yards and 2 touchdowns and 1 interception yesterday. So those are all guys you can consider for the bye week if your main guys are out on bye.
Yeah. So, make sure you guys cover those bye weeks. I'm in a very unfortunate situation where Josh Allen's my starter, and I kind of slept on quarterbacks thinking I'd be good because I don't have to worry about quarterback. I do have Will Levis on this thing as a backup on my team, and this is my team that's making it to the playoffs potentially here. And it's tight. It's a tight race. Everybody's kind of like 6 or 7 wins type in this league. And I got Will Levis starting. I do have him with a Ridley stack, so I'm hoping they do well. But what's frustrating is that everybody grabbed all the quarterbacks. It's a 1 quarterback league, but there's no quarterbacks available. One guy hoarded like 4 quarterbacks. So I'm really pissed off about this, but it is what it is. That's why I always have a backup plan for a backup plan. And I told you, I'm not doing 7 or 8 leagues. It's so hard to manage. And not only that, I help people in my Patreon group. I'm helping people manage their team. So I'm not really focused on me. I'm not even my own priority with the private coaching and stuff. I don't even care about my teams. I care about helping you guys win. I don't even care about my teams. But either way, this team I slept on. I got to start Will Levis in a must-win week this week. But I'm good because in that league, I got Henry and Barkley that are really been a staple on my roster in that team. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting week next week. I got to see who I'm playing. Hopefully I'm playing one of those teams that have a bad team, one of those losing teams to help, give me an edge. So, all right, Jim, let's get to the running backs here. Running back must adds, studs and duds at this position. And it was a crazy week as per usual at running back. It's always the wild, the crazy. I'm going to pull up the running backs. So let me filter by the running back. So the guys that did well, my guy's been, like I said, he's been a staple for me. As you can see this, Saquon Barkley, Breece Hall, Dave Montgomery, Josh Jacobs, Devin Achane, James Cook, Gibbs, Chase Brown, Dobbins, and Javonte. Now, I did do a video. That's why you guys got to subscribe and turn on the bell. I said, make sure you add Chase Brown to your team. He's going to get a lot of volume. He wasn't sexy going into the year, but now he's getting the volume. So usual suspects here, pretty good here. And Christian McCaffrey falling out of the top 10, all this excitement of him coming back, didn't even finish top 10 this week, Jim. What are your thoughts on the top 10 here?
Well, what I see this week really is a very, very top heavy for the running back performance. And if you roll down to the court, like to the running back 25,
Right.
who was Alexander Madison, 8 points. He only got 8 points. So it was one of those things where it was like feast or famine right now. And if you had one of these top guys, man, you were feeling good. And just to give you some, here's how Jim's mojo is going this year. I have a team which had both Saquon Barkley and Devin Achane this week. Okay. The
Yeah.
number 1 and the number 5 running back. And I
see that.
freaking lost. And it
Ah.
was because I had to start Kirk Cousins because my quarterback was on bye. I had to start Kirk Cousins and Drake London and Darnell Mooney, and they all crapped the bed, and I lost. I can't believe it. I'm so
That's
frustrated with
frustrating.
this league right now that I'm in.
That is so
But
frustrating.
that's how Jimmy Maverick's mojo is going this season, man. It's just par for the course.
Yeah, man. But again, this pisses me off. We talked about this in the offseason. I kept screaming at the top of my lungs. Now, Gibbs is a solid player. I got him in 1 league. He's consistent every week. But look at this pest that is David Montgomery. Taking away 15 attempts, 75 yards, and 2 rushing touchdowns. Imagine, I keep talking about how amazing Jahmyr Gibbs would be if Montgomery went away. It's so annoying. And you can say, well, Joe, it's a committee. Well, you know what? I think Mason did pretty good when McCaffrey was gone, and they just went right back to McCaffrey. They're going with their best player, and that's smart. And I believe Jahmyr Gibbs, if he was playing, look at him. You could just see the proof is in the pudding, Jim. I don't got to lay this out any more clear every single week. 6.3 average yards per carry for Jahmyr Gibbs. David Montgomery 5.0. He's always outperforming him, getting bigger runs, always outdoing him. And yet they continue to run Montgomery, knowing Gibbs is a superior running back. I don't know. It's one thing that just really annoys me. It annoys
They're
me.
both good. That Detroit Lions offense is absolutely like unstoppable right now, man. They are just destroying it. And I think when you have one running back as the RB3 and one running back as the RB5 or 6, you know what? You're doing great. They're both good. They're both going to be good for your fantasy team. And really, David Montgomery is looking like the way better value because, again, you had to take Jahmyr Gibbs in round 1 or early round 2. David Montgomery was round 6 or 7. Way better value there for Montgomery, and he has performed very well this season. So I can't badmouth Montgomery at all. I can't badmouth this offense. This offense is impressive. And, I mean, just the same way that they utilize. Oh crap! I'm forgetting the name of the receiver. Not Amon-Ra. Who's the other big receiver? Jameson Williams. Jameson Williams. And you could call Jameson Williams a pest, but you know what? Jameson Williams is damn good, and he is making some huge catches for that team. And I just got to say, way to go, man. They're just destroying it right now, and I want to see him win the Super Bowl. I want to see the Detroit Lions go to the Super Bowl and win that baby because that is a great team they got there. Just one of the best offenses in football.
They're a pretty good team, man. They're doing amazing. If they are going to go with this committee, at least make it so that they finish top 10, and they both are. So you can't really argue if your running back is going and finishing in the top 10, regardless of the committee. So that's pretty impressive feat on its own. So what pickups should we consider this week, Jim, if any at all? And who is the real suck of the week? Let's go through that.
Oh yeah, I mean, you want to do the sucks first? You want to get to the recommendations? There's not a lot of running back recommendations this week. It's a very tough.
That's why I say robust RB is the way to go. But yeah, let's go to sucks of the week. Kyren Williams 8.6 points. Jonathan Taylor 7.0. ATN just sucks 6.3. Kareem Hunt 6.0. Nick Chubb, who's been absolutely useless, 5.0. Tony Pollard sucking 4.9 points. I mean, these are some big names. Even Derrick Henry, 10.5, and Bijan around 10 points as well.
Bijan, yeah. Jonathan Taylor also just kind of crapped the bed. Even though he got 24 carries, man, he only ended up with 6.5 fantasy points. I am out on Jonathan Taylor. I am just like, I was out on him this year. I didn't take him in any of my leagues, but I'm just completely out on that guy. He was great like 3 seasons ago, and that was it. That was it for him, man. I don't know. He just doesn't have it in the tank anymore.
No, not at all, man. So I want to talk about, so who are we picking up here possibly at the running back? Again, if you had to, if there's anyone available, there really isn't. You're looking at our
there really isn't anyone here that I would pick up and start, right? But these are guys that I think should be rostered. First one, Roschon Johnson of Chicago. He got 10 carries and a target yesterday. That's great for your bench. You put him on your bench. Cam Akers of Minnesota got 10 touches and 2 targets. Austin Eckler, he got 2 touches, but his real value was his targets. He got 9 targets. when he played, and then Justice Hill, who got 2 touches and 7 targets. So those guys are like PPR plays, but none of these guys I would feel comfortable starting right now. But that's it. That's it, man. Like I said, it's top heavy, and it thins out very quickly. So that's where we're at with running backs right now.
All right, moving on to the wide receivers. Let's go through the top 10 here and kind of highlight them, give them some credit where credit is due here. Amon-Ra, I mean, amazing. I kind of knew he'd have a good week. I mentioned this in one of my, because I do the Counselor's Edge. If you guys want to get my picks, the Counselor's Edge, I've linked it below. I talk about this. I talk about how, who the best fantasy players are, my top 5 prop picks. I also lay out the spreads, and I was almost perfect on my straight up picks this past week. Amazing. But Amon-Ra, I knew he'd have a good week. He crushed it. T. Higgins, good week. Cooper Kupp. T. Higgins, a couple good weeks lately. Cooper Kupp, Jamar Chase. I mean, you could see that the Bengals are really heating up here down the stretch for fantasy and reality. Now, they didn't win yesterday, but they're heating up either way for fantasy. Judy, Puka, Juwan Jennings, Jameson Williams, Jackson Smith, and Nick Westbrook from Tennessee having a good week with 19.7. And then Tyreek finally got a touchdown, 19.1 points here. So some weird names here, like we wouldn't really think about for like week 11, that Juwan Jennings in there, Jameson Williams, Nick Westbrook. I mean, Josh Downs, if you haven't subscribed, I did a video on guys you need to pick up that could be great down the stretch. And Josh Downs, man, he's been consistent. He's been the one on this team lately.
Yeah, he's doing great. And by the way, Nick Westbrook-Ikini is a total illusion. Don't just look at the points. He only got 2 catches yesterday, but he got one of them was like a 98-yard reception. So, and he got a touchdown. So that's why his fantasy points look so good. Again, this is not a guy you want to roster. It's not a guy. He's a best ball guy at best, like someone you pick up at the very end of your best ball draft. But otherwise, stay away from him for managed leagues. He is not the kind of guy you want. Well, I was really surprised. 2 guys that I have left for dead that I'm now going to recommend that you pick up. Jerry Jeudy, Cleveland Browns, who got 11 targets. He has really benefited from Amari Cooper leaving that team. And then Quentin Johnson of the Chargers, man.
Yeah.
Mr. Bricks for Hands. He got 8 targets yesterday.
Bricks for hands.
Good on him. And clearly he's developing a better connection with his quarterback, with Herbert. So I love that. Juwan Jennings is another guy I think you should be picked up. He got 11 targets yesterday. Sure. Cedric Tillman got 8 targets, and Elijah Moore got 8 targets. So again, I've got the 3 Cleveland receivers. These guys are all getting volume. And if you are in desperate need of a wide receiver, those are guys you should go get. So I think all of them are probably decent for fantasy, at least as a flex. So
honorable mentions here at the suck position, guys that suck. Drake London, 9. What did he have? 9.1 points. Very disappointing. Amari Cooper, 7.5. Everybody was so excited about Amari Cooper being on the Bills. I'm like, no, dude sucks. But he had a good game, but just not for fantasy. 7.6. Not acceptable. Deebo Samuel, what a bust he was. He was a 3rd round pick. Garrett Wilson, 5.8. Deebo Samuel, 6.1. These are guys that were drafted with high draft capital, just crapping the absolute bed, waking up in a puddle of poop. Just totally, I don't even know, man. Just crap in the bed. And Michael Pittman, 9.6. He should be ashamed of himself. He's an wide receiver 1. I don't believe that. And Devontae Smith, 6.9. Another guy said, do not waste your pick on a wide receiver 2 in the 3rd or 4th round. Yet people continue to draft these wide receiver 2s. I don't know, man. It's just been wild with some of these wide receivers, but the staples have been those workhorse running backs. That's why I've always done well in fantasies, because I always get the workhorses. And they've been very good to me. Derrick Henry and Saquon Henry did have a bit of a down week. He was playing the Steelers defense, which is a very tough defense, which is a defense I own in the league that I'm making the playoffs in. So it's just been wild, dude. It's just been a wild year. So that's the wide receiver position for you. Do you want to go on a tight end here? Anyone's? I mean,
yeah, we can go to tight ends. Yeah.
Tight ends are just so boring this year as well. But Brock Bowers, I mean, he is just a bright spot in a position that's very dark. There's no bright spots. I mean, Brock Bowers, Geno Smith, David Njoku, Zach Ertz, Noah Brown, Disley, Hunter Henry, Juwan. Like, look at these names. Like, I don't think anybody.
Yeah, these are not guys you drafted early.
No, and then you got the receivers. It's the receivers' injuries on certain teams where it just certain, tight end step up or whatever it may be, right? Like, it's just, it's just been a mess. Like Geno Smith. I mean, there's so many other targets that Geno Smith on Miami is getting the volume here. I don't get it. 8 targets.
Well, I think it's great if you're gonna get a tight end too. Get a tight end too on a dynamic offense like what the Miami Dolphins offer. And so, but Jonnu Smith has really come on. Obviously they didn't utilize him at all in New England, so it's nice to see him getting work again, which is great. And again, 6 catches, 101 yards, and 2 touchdowns yesterday. So that was just killer. But he's more of a best ball guy in my opinion. But yeah, Brock Bowers has been a revelation. I got to say, man, I'm in on first round tight ends that get drafted in the NFL because they're like, it used to be like that 3-year ramp up, like you wouldn't really see him perform for fantasy until year 3. But man, that is just not the case anymore. And so I don't even know who we're going to be the tight ends coming into the league this next year, but I'm going to be paying attention to the guys that get tight ends that get taken early because I think they're like immediately draftable and startable. So,
and this is why I don't waste a pick on like tight ends early. Like a Mark Andrews, 4.2 points. Pat Fryermuth, 3.4. TJ Hawkins, 3.3. Travis Kelce, who was heating up, now cooled off, 2.8 points. Kyle Pitts, 1.9 points. These are guys that people drafted with early draft capital. I've always waited on tight ends as well, and I get the value. And that's where I did well last year with Laporta. This year, I faded Laporta in a lot of my leagues. He was coming off in the second round. Ended up going Ferguson. He's been safe. He hasn't been outstanding. But yeah, man, it's been a weird year at tight end. Look at this. I mean, look at the top 10. Bowers, Smith, Njoku, Ertz, Noah Gray, Disley, Hunter Henry, Juwan, and Goddard. Isaiah Likely again, who came off that first amazing week 1, hasn't really done much since. Now cracks the top 10 again. It's excluding Monday game. It's just wild, dude. I don't know what else to say. That's it.
It is. And as far as who you want to target to pick up this week, I think you can see if these guys are available. Hunter Henry, Jonnu Smith, Zach Ertz, Dawson Knox. Dawson Knox is only good if
Kincaid sits out. Yes, Kincaid.
Yeah, if Kincaid is still out. And then Will Disley, who is also just shocking that he's playing as well as he is and doing as well as he is. But those are all guys you can look for on the waiver wire. I think at least one of them is going to be available, so you can pick them up if you need one.
Okay, let's ask any defenses to add this week. Week 12, it's an important week. There's a lot of people on bye week, right? So what defenses are we looking at here? I'm just pulling up the matchups myself.
Yeah, I mean, there's only a few that I saw that I was really interested in. You've got Tampa Bay, who's at the New York Giants. I think that's a good defense.
It's a good one.
The Denver defense, but they're probably already taken right now. Everybody's got Denver defense rostered. Cleveland is playing Pittsburgh at home.
Yeah,
Pittsburgh just isn't that high flying an offense. They scored 20 points yesterday.
Yeah.
So I'm comfortable starting Cleveland as a defense. And then Houston is playing Tennessee at home. Again, I like that, playing that defense against that matchup.
I like Washington. Washington's a 10-point favorite right now. They're playing Dallas and Washington's at home. That could be a good defense as long as Dallas continues to crap the bed.
Yeah, that could be. Well, Dallas is playing tonight, right? They didn't play yesterday, right?
No, I'm talking for next week to add Washington as a defense.
Right. And now, obviously with Dak being out for the rest of the season, that's definitely a downgrade situation for the Cowboys. So yeah, there you go. There's always good streaming options when it comes to defenses. So there's a few there for you.
Oh man, that's a lot to talk about, Jim. Anything else you want to add to everybody as they head into the fantasy playoffs? I guess start your starters, get the volume getters, and if there's like rare guys, like I told you last week, like Chase Brown, look to get him on your team because he's a volume guy, and you could like really leverage. Like it's just Chase Brown. I'll give you this guy. I'll give you Mark Andrews. I'll give you Travis Kelce. Give me Chase Brown. Like you can.
No one's gonna trade. No one's gonna trade Chase Brown for that. but I mean, if you have somebody that will trade you for that, go for it. Yeah, those tight ends, geez.
what a disaster. All right, man. I hope you guys have a good day. Appreciate it. I hope you guys have an outstanding drive, commute, wherever you're headed. Subscribe, hit the thumbs up, and drop your questions below if you have any waiver wire Week 12 questions. Week 12, Jim. What happened? 12 weeks gone, just like that. You blink.
I know, man. It's like almost the fantasy playoffs right now. Only 3 weeks to go. So hopefully you're in good position. You're already in playoff position, or you're fighting for it. Get those wins and get in there, man. Get in there and just make the playoffs, and you can win.
And we're gonna go year round with NFL breaking news, sports news, maybe some Tyson talk. If he decides to fight again, I'll be covering it. Lots of good stuff here. We'll hit the nostalgia button with you guys as well. All right, guys. We'll talk soon. Have a good day. Bye, Jim. Thanks for coming back.
Thank you, Counselor. Have a good one.
We're out.